Welcome! Today we're diving into something really beautiful, a profound theological argument from the Tafsir of the Qur'an. We're going to be looking at verse 35 of Surah Ar-Raʿd, and what's amazing is how it uses this simple, elegant metaphor from nature to explain something huge, the very nature of divine knowledge and, our relationship to it.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start with the parable itself, the main metaphor. Then we'll get into what grace and capacity actually mean in this context. From there, we'll check out the big rule that connects them, find a really cool exception to that rule, and wrap it all up with a powerful idea about how we as humans can even begin to approach this kind of limitless knowledge.
All right, first up, the parable of rain. Now, to get us into this pretty deep idea, the source text does something brilliant. It doesn't throw a bunch of dense philosophy at you. Nope. It starts us off with a simple, really powerful parable, one that's pulled right from the world around us.
Okay, this one line. This is the key that unlocks the entire concept. I want you to really picture this. You've got this pure, life-giving water coming down from the sky. That rain, that's our stand-in for divine grace. And then on the ground, you have all the valleys and the riverbeds, the wadis, and they're all there to collect that water. But, and this is the most important part, each one can only hold as much as its specific size and shape allows, right? Some are big, some are small.
So that brings us to grace and capacity. What do the rain and these vessels actually represent? I mean, what are we really talking about here? Well, the text gives us two specific Arabic terms for them, and getting these is absolutely essential if we want to follow the logic of the argument.
So that rain, that divine grace, it's called faith. And let's be clear, this isn't just, knowledge like you'd get from a textbook. The text describes it as this boundless, pure, totally unified flow of grace that comes straight from God. It's one single, limitless source. Think of it like that. And what about the valleys that catch the rain? Well, those are the awiyah. The word literally means vessels. And in this theological context, it's talking about the hearts and minds of every created being. That's you, that's me, all of us. Each and every one of us is a vessel, and each one has its own unique and, finite capacity to take in and hold that divine grace. And this right here, this is the core contrast, the absolute heart of the idea. Just look at this. On one side, you've got fade. It's unlimited, it's pure, it's singular. But on the other side, you've got the awiyah, all of these different vessels. And they're all limited, they're all varied, they're all measured. So the source is one thing, but the recipients are countless. And understanding that difference, well, it's everything. Okay, so this naturally leads to a big question, right? If all vessels are different sizes, what decides that? Why can one person seem to grasp more than someone else? Well, the text tells us the answer lies in this universal principle of creation. And that principle is known as qadar, or divine measure. The core idea is that absolutely everything in creation comes with a preset capacity. Nothing is just random. Think about it, from a tiny pebble all the way up to an entire planet, everything has its own specific, God-given measure. And you can see this principle of measure just everywhere, at every single level. First, you've got the physical world, right? A riverbed can only hold so much water, a mountain is only so high. Then, it applies to our own intellects. It helps explain why we all have different skills and talents, different ways of understanding things. And then, and this is where it gets really profound, the text says it even applies in the spiritual world. Even the prophets receive revelation according to their own unique measure, their own specific role in the grand scheme of things.
All right, so let's move on to the really big twist in this argument. The logic is building up, right? If everything that's created is a vessel, and every vessel has a limit, then you have to ask, is there anything out there that isn't a vessel? Is there anything that actually represents the pure, unmeasured rain itself, the fade in its raw form?
This is it. This is the big turning point in the whole explanation. I mean, if everything we can see and touch is just a limited container, where in the world do you find the unlimited source?
And the source gives us one single powerful exception to this universal rule. And that exception is the Holy Qur'an. The argument here is that the Qur'an isn't just another vessel. It's not even the biggest or the best vessel. No, the idea is that it isn't a vessel at all. It's not something that was measured for a recipient. It is the unmeasured source. It's the rain.
So where does this idea come from? Well, the proof they offer is all about its origin. The Qur'an was sent down on the night of measure, Laylat al-Qadr. Now the logic here is subtle, but it's really powerful.
Think about it. If something is sent down on the very night that all measures are decided, it can't be subject to measure itself. It has to be the source of measure. See? In our analogy, it's not another riverbed. It is the rain.
Okay, so this brings us to the final, really important part, embracing the ocean. What does this all mean for us, for you and me, today? If we're the finite vessels, and the Quran is this unmeasured source, how are we supposed to even approach it?
Well, this final concept just completely flips our relationship with the text on its head. The idea is to stop thinking of the Quran as like a book, a container of information that you can just read, memorize, and say, okay, I'm done, I've mastered it. Instead, we're invited to see it as something else entirely, a vast, boundless ocean of meaning.
And this right here is such a powerful takeaway. We, with our limited hearts, our limited minds, we are the vessels. We get to approach this incredible, immense ocean of divine knowledge, but we can only ever take from it what our own personal capacity allows, what our intellect, our sincerity, our spiritual focus can hold. Maybe one person comes with a small cup and fills it up. Someone else might come with a giant barrel. But nobody can ever contain the entire ocean.
And so that leaves us with this final, really profound challenge, doesn't it? If how much we receive is limited by the size of our own vessel, then the goal can't be to master the ocean. That's literally impossible. The real goal is to grow the vessel. So the question it leaves us with is a personal one. How can we work on ourselves to deepen our hearts, to expand our minds, so that we can hold just a little bit more of that boundless grace?